Hello guys, today we will talk about what kind of ancestral magic items have appeared and what crafting system awaits us after the introduction of Kanai's cube in Diablo 4. As you can see in the image, it is a blue magic item, but at the same time it is marked as an ancestral item, and on top of that it dropped on Torment 2. How significant will the crafting changes be? New off here, let's go. In the previous video from IGN, where they showed us this blue item, they did not explain anything. They only showed a piece of Warlock gameplay, the map of a new location, and a couple of small details. I covered that in the previous video. Now let's say a few words about the Horadric cube. This mechanic is taken directly from Diablo 2 and allows us to modify items using preset recipes. These recipes can fundamentally change an item, its rarity, and its properties. So far, nothing specific has been shown, but it is already clear that we will be able to turn blue and yellow items into legendary and unique items. The ability to transform 3 unique items or talismans into a new random item or talisman. This implies that we will still be collecting loot, but instead of salvaging it at the blacksmith, we will take items to the cube. And in the cube, we will try to get 1 new item out of 3. Sounds fine, but let's look at what this means in practice. We pick up items and bring them to the cube, where we transform them. All of this takes time. Let's estimate roughly. Collecting items from 5 Ubers gives us a full inventory. Killing Ubers from one altar click to the next takes on average 30 seconds. In total, rounded for 33 legendary items, we spend 150 seconds, 2.5 minutes. That is, 33 divided by 2.5 equals 13.2 items per minute. We could skip picking them up because we will have a loot filter. But we pick them up and go to the cube, where we click 3 items to move them into the cube, then click transform into 1 new item. There are animations in a couple of places. In total, we perform this procedure 11 times, about 5 seconds each. 11 times 5 equals 55 seconds. In those 55 seconds, we get 11 new items out of 33. The chance to get a legendary with 2 or 3 greater affixes from cube crafting cannot be different from the chance to get a legendary with the same 2 or 3 greater affixes anywhere else. This is the foundation. So we get 11 items per minute from the cube, and if we do not go anywhere and keep killing Ubers, we get 13.2 items per minute. Considering that boss materials run out, the balance looks fine, but only looks. Do not forget that when farming Ubers, we also get golden runes, and those are valuable resources too. And there is some experience gain as well. This is how overall game balance works. And instead of shouting about tons and trillions and how excited I am, I explained the core idea. The new cube activity cannot be overpowered. It might be at first because developers may increase the drop rate of good items, but only temporarily to attract attention. The same mechanism is used with new classes added to the game. A new class is always the strongest at the start. This should be obvious. Therefore, the cube is not some overpowered mechanic or a new panacea. It is just variety. Do not expect anything special from this crafting system. Getting something good will be possible, of course, but not exclusive. And if there is a way to get something exclusive only from the cube, it will create more problems than it solves. Now let's look at the recipe for turning a rare item into a legendary one. This is about those blue and yellow items you saw at the beginning. I am sure these recipes will only be relevant at the very start of leveling. We take a low rarity item, add some crafting materials, and get a legendary item. Honestly, I do not see any use for these rare and magic item transmutations in the late game, but at the start they will be useful. As entertainment, they will definitely exist for some time. They also showed how stats will be added. Here we see that the maximum item power is increased to 900. We can also see this in the loot filter. Look, it says we can obtain a 4th property on a rare item that already has 3 properties. Previously, 3 properties was the limit for a rare item, and we could only replace 1 property with another at the occultist. Almost nobody did that, but it was possible. We could also always add an aspect at the occultist, turning a rare item into a legendary one while keeping the number and quality of stats. Do you see where this is going? Now we can set up a loot filter and it will show us a yellow item with 3 perfect properties. We can add a 4th property to that rare item. I do not know whether we will be able to add a specific property or if it will be random but re-rollable unlimited times. Or maybe the 4th property will always be maximum and each re-roll will cost slightly more than the previous one. We do not know yet, but we will soon. So far it looks decent, but the question remains. The maximum we can get from this recipe is 4 perfect stats, but all without greater affixes. If they are all without greater affixes, then the value of this recipe is strongly time limited. Greater affix means a stat at its maximum value increased by 50%. Theoretically, we can have an item with greater affixes on all properties. In Season 12, it looks like this. As shown, when activating a recipe, the required crafting resources are loaded into the cube automatically. It may seem like it was always like this, but it was not. When I started playing Diablo 3 in 2016, all crafting materials were stored in inventory and stash, and they were stacked, maximum 20 per stack. Later, it was increased to 40. Only after that, they created a separate tab for crafting materials. So what we see now is extremely convenient compared to what existed before. One more point. As we can see in the video, less than half of the recipes are shown. I am in no way a proponent of quantity. I prefer well-developed quality. And I do not want to sound pessimistic, but I am sure that 2/3 of the recipes will only be useful at early stages, and 1/3 will not be used at all. Maybe 1 or 2 recipes will be useful in the late game. But I do not think they will tie top gear acquisition exclusively to the cube. As I said earlier, in the long term that would create many problems. Which problems? Do you remember Chaos Armor and Infernal Horde a couple of seasons ago? Personally, I still feel sick thinking about Horde. The new item power level 900 is not surprising. I will explain. Blizzard, over the 1.5 years I have been playing Diablo 4, has already devalued items twice. After one rework, item power was forcibly reduced to 540. After the tempering system rework, previously collected items also became useless. That is, those items still exist, but they are only suitable for starting the game. The same will happen now. Once again, everything you accumulated from previous seasons will be multiplied by 0. That is why questions in the comments about builds or mechanics in the Eternal Realm confuse me. Friends, the game does not support playing in the Eternal Realm at all. I would personally like to play there. I enjoy collecting perfect gear for multiple classes and builds and pushing the tower, but it is impossible for the following reasons. First, the tower is not in the Eternal Realm yet, and it is unknown if it will be added later, although I am sure it will. Second, roughly every 6 months, collected items are reset due to reworks or expansions. Yes, the expansion Lord of Hatred releasing on April 28th is not the last one. Another one will come in about 1.5 years, at minimum once. Third, Paragon is capped at 300. This completely removes the feeling of growth and progression. Removing the cap creates another problem, botting. Fourth, material limits in the Eternal Realm. They simply do not get picked up, and when salvaging at the blacksmith, they drop on the ground. This is not really a problem in general, but specifically for Blizzard it is. I will explain. After Season 10, where Obdusite reached the cap of 1 million within a couple of weeks and prevented players from picking up anything because it blocked visibility, just like obols above the cap lying on the ground. How did they solve it? In a bipolar style. First, they announced increasing the Obdusite cap in stash to 10 million, but a week later they simply reduced drop rates and spending by about 10 times. And the Obdusite that existed in the Eternal Realm was removed. So I have no idea how they will handle things going forward. This is not hate, I just understand very well how Blizzard operates. I played Diablo 3 for 20,000 hours, now a couple thousand hours in Diablo 4. There is no point expecting a single consistent long-term plan. Decisions are spontaneous, sometimes half measures, sometimes unclear what the original goal was. For example, in early seasons, players spent about 50% of their time backtracking in dungeons. What was the original idea? No backtracking is basic game design. So they planned something else, then abandoned it and released it as is. And they are still fixing it. And it seems nothing will change in terms of quality, attention to detail, and clear vision. Right now, we are observing a phase of a major paradigm shift. Blizzard is trying to turn the game from a purely solo experience into a party-based one. This is difficult, really difficult. Let's wish them success and fewer abrupt changes. At this point, I will wrap it up. If you liked it, press like. If not, press dislike, but do not stay passive. Do not forget to like and subscribe, write comment. Thanks for watching. Bye.